Hi and welcome to Whiskey Shared. You're watching my review of Lucky Shuffle Blended Malt. I'm Toby and you're watching Whiskey Shared. Welcome to my review of Lucky Shuffle. This is a blended malt Scotch whisky and it's an Amazon owned brand. It retails for $19.99 and it's 70 cl, it's 40% ABV and it is coloured and most likely chill filtered. Should we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. Right, so before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that's like a russet, but as I said, it is coloured as it states it on the bottle. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is like iodine, and I'd say there's like a licorice note. It's definitely quite earthy. Yeah, it's like an earthy peat, slightly vegetal. There's some black pepper in there. There's some sort of caramel sweetness. And there is like a hint of ethanol, that sort of alcohol vapour. Let's move on to the palate. Okay, so it's very light on the palate. At first it doesn't give away much, and then there is that sort of sweet vanilla and caramel note. That sweetness is what you get first. But it's got not much more in terms of that initial flavour. Let's move on and have another sip. So after that initial sweetness, that vanilla, that caramel, brown sugar sort of notes, there's that earthy peat that I picked up on the nose. It's ever so slightly unpleasant, almost like slightly chemical. There's a hint of iodine. It's nowhere near as noticeable on the palate as it is on the nose, but there's that sort of chemical peaty tang which starts to dominate after a few sips. And then I would say, just like the nose, it is quite spirity. That sort of ethanol note starts to overpower as the flavour lingers on the palate. In terms of finish, I'd say it's short to medium. There is that ethanol which is quite pronounced. There is that earthy peat, there is some dry wood, there is some pepper and a slight nuttiness. But in terms of value, well, I picked this up on Amazon Prime Day. I'd never heard of it before, knew nothing about it. It was £13.99 and any bottle in my book is worth a stab at effectively 50p a unit. So that was the reason I bought it. I knew nothing about it. In terms of value, well, as I said at the beginning of the video, it retails for the £20 mark, and I think a lot of people would probably take a stab at £20, but for me this particular whiskey isn't a whiskey to be enjoyed neat. I can't enjoy it neat because of that slightly chemical tang that it has. It's slightly off-putting, but to allow this whiskey to try and redeem itself, I did try what other people might do with this whiskey, and I did try it in several different cocktails. The only one it didn't really work in was a whiskey and coke. That sort of tang still came through, but in a old fashioned it worked really well, and in a Manhattan obviously the vermouth does overtake slightly and it gets rid of that chemical tang and makes it quite a pleasant cocktail to drink. If this sounds up your street for whatever reason, and maybe you just want a cheap mixer to make cocktails with, then I'll put a link in the description and you can check it out. If for whatever reason this doesn't float your boat, like it didn't really for me, then hopefully I'll see you for the next one. Stauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video.
If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.